keep giving out that message. But once they have the belief, the ability will follow. And I think we try to get that backwards. We try to find certain abilities and then put them in to the places that they'll be best. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. I've been on a journey. I got some insight. This insight is going to help you give your staff purpose. Maybe give yourself a little bit of purpose. This is the purpose episode. We at the closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Thank you for the likes, the listens, for everyone trying to improve their practices and listening to this podcast. As you know, I've been on a journey for the past 15 years, since 2011, to try and grow a business. One of the things that I've really tried to wrap my head around is what am I shooting for? What am I trying to do? Like multiple offices, a revenue number, growing a business. It's one of the just constant battles that I've been fighting of what are we going after? And maybe you guys know what you're going after, or maybe you're just trying to get to the next day. But I think that's a fun thing to sit and contemplate. And something that's been really surprising to me as I've been on this journey in the past few months is that my identity, which we've talked about in a past episode, was always caught up in being the best doctor, producing the most revenue. My patients would come in to see me. And I knew I wanted something more, but I didn't really know how to do it, what that was like. And over time, it's been changing. I've been able to separate myself from the numbers in the business. Hired the first associate, and anytime a patient wouldn't schedule with me, if I had an opening and they were on the other doctor's schedule, I'd be like, kind of hurt. Even though I wanted her to be full, I wanted her to have patients, I wanted to have another associate that's producing. In the back of my head, I'm like, why aren't they scheduling with me? Fast forward to 2 years later, and she's having patients that saw her last year, and they're scheduling with the other doctor. And I prepped her for it, like, hey, this is how I felt when it happened to me. No, it's not personal. They trust the brand. It's about convenience. It's about time. Sometimes it's completely random. And as I've evolved, I see that I don't care. Like, I like seeing my patients, my comprehensive patients, and my dry eye patients that I've seen for years. But I really want the other doctors to be full. I want their schedules to be full. I want them to be successful because I've seen what their success does for the business. And the coolest thing is the new hire, the new doctor that I've brought into the office. New grad, no bad habits, a sponge for learning. First doctor, when she came in, she's practiced for 3 years, really well educated, been in tough environments, been with great practices. She's been with good practices. I was more hands off, kind of let her run with it. Didn't want to give her too much feedback because I didn't want to be the doctor that had to micromanage. That's what I thought I was, my biggest downfall would be. So I was hands off. Now we've gotten better at giving feedback, having direct conversations, giving input and insight. But new doctor wanted every single thing I could give him, how to do everything. And I've been guiding him through, and I've had so much fun. One of my friends would ask me on Sunday nights, are you excited to go into the office? And at times I'd be like, not really, kind of dreading having to go see the grind of patients and whatnot. And he said, you're spending time on the wrong things. You got to find out what gives you energy. And the things that don't give you energy, you need to delegate. And as I found what I look forward to in the week, I like it when my patient care days are done and I get to mentor the new doctor. I get to work with the staff, work on the business. That gives me juice. I'm excited. As I was going through my day yesterday, it's a full day seeing like like 15 comprehensive exams, some dry eye valves in there, so 20 plus patients. I had a gap between 1 and 2 or 12 and 1. And instead of like taking lunch, taking a break, I grabbed him aside and I said, "Hey, look at this case. Let's do this." And I could have just kept talking and reviewing the cases, going over those things, not because I like to talk, because that's what I like to do. I like to make him be the best doctor he can be. And don't get me wrong, I like my comprehensive exams where I'm seeing patients that I've seen for years, just chewing the fat, connecting, reminiscing, talking about, their lives. That's fun. But it really hit me that my identity is shifting. I'm no longer the doctor that has to see patients, that has to be the best producer. I get more value out of making the doctors around me the best doctors in town. That the staff around them, I see our office doing so much more revenue than I've ever even fathomed. And we do a certain amount in a day when I was by myself, and I'd be like, that's a great day. Now the new associate's doing that, and I'm doing 4 times it. Isn't that nuts to think about? And it's because of the environment that I've created, the process, the culture, and that's a completely different purpose for my life, for what I'm going to do. And that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, where do I want to be? Why am I doing this? And I don't think it's a revenue number. I don't think it's multiple offices in itself. It's creating a great business, creating an environment where doctors can thrive. And the cool thing is, when I created that environment, these staff, they're happier. They love what they're doing. Because they love what they're doing, the business is better. So what that kind of cued me into thinking is what I've tried to create this past, 6 months. And it's that continuous flow, the trust transfer process. And within that, what I'm teaching my staff, my doctors that work with me, is that purpose matters. When you have purpose, it's more fulfilling. The patients experience it. It's a better place to be. And before we had the continuous flow, we had departments. We had a front desk, we had techs, doctors, and opticians. And every person would do their job. They do what they were supposed to do, but then they just pass them on to the next person. And then the patient would get a constant reset, a break, a new experience every single time, from answering, making the appointment on the phone, getting checked in, workups, etc. Well, what we realized is patients don't experience the departments. They have an experience in your office, and we need to make that journey as seamless as possible. And in order to do that, you have to get your staff to realize their purpose in the circle. And let me give you the examples. Like the front desk, their job is to answer phones and schedule appointments. But their purpose is to remove uncertainty. A patient will call and they'll be wondering, did I choose the right office? The front desk, their job, their purpose is to build confidence before that patient arrives. Build up the doctors. Yeah, I know you can't see Dr. Lilly, but the other doctor is great with kids. Dr. Lilly wouldn't have hired them if they weren't exceptional. They're great at what they do. Patients have had a great experience. That's building trust. Once they go to the technician to get worked up, their job is to collect information. Their purpose is to prepare confidence, to give the patient the feeling that they're in the right place before they even see the doctor. They already know that they're in good hands because of the way they're getting worked up, the questions that are being asked, that there's a continuous flow from when they made the appointment to who they're seeing now. It makes the job of the doctor that much easier. Our doctor, our role, diagnose disease, like give them their glasses, their contacts, right? But it's more than that. Our purpose is to create belief, and not just in the diagnosis or the treatment, but belief that they can improve, that what we've selected for them will make their life better. That they're understood, that trust can be put on them, that we can be trusted to give them the answer that they're seeking. And then you get to the optician, you think it's to sell glasses, right? They are the most important thing in this trust process because they solidify what's been done up to this point. They have to protect that trust. The doctor spent 30 minutes building confidence, creating this vision for what the patient's going to experience from what they've prescribed or, diagnosed. The optician's going to either reinforce that or weaken it. They're not just finishing the sale process, they're completing the treatment. They're making sure that that trust that's been built up throughout the process is complete. It comes full circle. And the thing is, as I say this, I'm thinking out loud here, but one of the things I realized is that the reason why it works better as a business, why everyone's doing better because they have this sense of purpose, is because I think we used to think that it was ability. How skilled of a hire can we get? How great of a doctor can we have? The ability would set the culture. And I think back to who I used to hire and how we used to do things, and they were just as capable as everyone else that I have now. But what they lacked was purpose. And what you'll find is purpose creates an identity. Once you have purpose, your role, what you're going to do is so much more laser focused. You know what you're trying to create for that patient in your role and what your task that you're doing. So purpose will create identity. And then once you have identity, you have belief, right? You have this belief that what you're doing is going to have this outcome. And from there, you get ability. And that's something that I think we need to realize, that belief comes before ability. And it starts with that purpose. And to get this office to be where I've created it and to see everyone thriving and growing is because everyone has had a purpose now. They know their identity and they believed. Remember, we talked about the CEO's role is to create a vision that everyone can follow. And we got to keep banging the same drum, keep giving out that message. But once they have the belief, the ability will follow. And I think we try to get that backwards. We try to find certain abilities and then put them in to the places that they'll be best. But if they don't have that belief, it's not going to happen. And I had a staff member that incredibly intelligent, very skilled, but she keeps getting in her own way. A little nervous. She'll train on something, and when she's doing it with the manager or her trainee, nails it. Patient steps in front of her and she falls apart. Or she'll do a visual field, practice, knows it like the back of her hand, and then it's time for her to do it with the patient. She's like, I don't think I'm ready for this, and won't step forward. I pulled her aside and I said, hey, just so you know, we're getting close to your 90 days. You aren't where we want you to be. And I talked to your manager, your trainer. It's not your ability, it's your belief. And there's a problem here if me and your manager believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Do you think you can do it? Yes, I think I can do it. Then you got to get in there and don't be afraid to fail. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to make mistakes, but you got to do this. You have to believe that you can do it. I know you do. We believe in you. And she took it. It was kind of hard, direct conversation. Next 2 days, killed it. Right? Because belief comes before ability. Whether it's believing in yourself, getting the vision from someone around you of what you're going to be contributing to, but you got to believe first. I talked about the doctors that I hired, and I guess that's one of the things that attracted me to both the people I hired is they both believed before they had anything to back it up. A lot of theories, a lot of I think we can do this, but belief. And that's what's happening to me right now. I've always said that I think I can run a good business. I think I can be a leader. And because I have that belief, my purpose is changing. right? I thought it was seeing patients. I thought it was being that best doctor, but now it's developing the doctors to be the best they possibly can be, to giving the best possible work environment. And I get so much juice from that. You know, developing my manager to be the best leader she can be, systems to make the business run, creating an organization where every doctor becomes better because this is the environment they work in. Give them all the tools, the things that they, read about or want, their wish list is in front of them. I make a point that anytime I can build up a doctor to have an opportunity to work with another, company like contact lens brand, let's introduce these doctors and make them as important as me here. It's not the owner, it's the doctor, it's the team. I love that environment. That's where I want to work, and that gives me juice. Like I'm talking about this and I'm getting excited thinking about it. Yes, I like seeing patients, but what gives me energy is what I described right there. And it's changing how how I'm thinking about the future of where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to build. I'm toying with the idea of adding a third doctor and completely taking myself out of patient care. Now, in my mind, to do that, I need another location so I can have. I think I need that much. I need that on my plate to make that move. But if you would have asked me 2 months ago, are you ever going to be out of patient care? I'm like, nah, I'm always going to see patients at least 1-2 days a week. The juice I'm getting right now, I don't know if I'll in the end of 27 if I'll still be seeing patients. Who knows? Taking it a step at a time, but I have a purpose. I have a belief. I know I'm not ready to do what I'm talking about yet, but belief comes before ability. And that's where I'm at. And that's our role as CEOs. Remember, at all times, we need to have the CEO mindset. I think we spend too much time teaching skills and not enough time teaching significance. You don't become exceptional because you memorize the procedures or the process to do things. People become great because they start believing that the work that they do matters. That me taking time away from patient care to get the staff to be better, to train the opticians, to get the front desk to answer the phones properly, to get them to believe in this continuous flow process and what their role is in the journey, that it matters. That's what's important. And that's where I put my effort and energy. And that's leadership. That's being the CEO of your practice. It's not something that you can tangibly quantify. But you look at great leaders, great business owners, and they have this aura about them. They have this ability to get people to get excited about the vision that they've created. And that's what I'm trying to let you know that I'm feeling with where I'm at in my personal journey. But I'm trying to give you real world examples in my office of how I'm applying it. And I want you to take a step back and go around to every single one of your staff members or your doctors and ask them, honestly, what is your purpose? Not what do you do, but what is your purpose? If the answer sounds like a task, you have an opportunity to grow. You have an opportunity to give them an answer that impacts the lives of other people around them, whether it's their coworkers, the patients that are coming through the door, maybe their families' view of of what they do. There's a lot of impact that we can have if we give someone a purpose. And the beauty of it is it builds a stronger business. And a stronger business starts with belief. You gotta believe before you have the ability. So, coming first full circle about the things we've been talking about, vision tells people where you're going, systems tell people how you'll get there, purpose tells people why their role matters. And when people understand their purpose, their identity changes, their belief grows, the ability will follow. Belief comes before ability. And remember that This is because people rarely will outperform the identity they hold about themselves. You give them purpose, their identity grows, changes, shifts. That's an empowering place to be, and that's the role we have as leaders of our office, the CEO of our business. That's what I have. I'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and I read this, and it made me think. So I'm going to read it so you can think. Success will try to remove every bit of friction from your life, but don't let it. Wait in line, drive yourself, take the middle seat on a plane, never. Keep friends who will call you out for being an idiot. It's the only way to stay in touch with reality. Cody Sanchez said that. And I thought that was really telling. We try to optimize everything, to make things as smooth and frictionless as possible. But remember, it's the struggle that creates growth. It's those experiences, the hurdles you have to jump over that make you stronger. If you are going through life, going through business without any adversity, I don't think you're pushing the limits hard enough. You're not getting outside your comfort zone. You're not going to grow. You're going to be stagnant. And we have to remember that the problems we have today were the things that we dreamed about having a few years ago. People would love to have the problems that you have right now. Don't take it for granted. Pressure is a privilege. We are in very unique situations because very few people actually start the business. Always an excuse, always a reason not to do it. Timing's not right, but you took the leap. You have a practice. Make the most of it. If you don't have friction, you're not pushing hard enough. That's what I got for you, Dr. Lily